So good morning. To every Detroit-based business owner, to the 18 anchor institutions of the Buyers Council, to every resource partner, elected official, and philanthropic supporter, I'd like to welcome you all to the second annual D2D Matchmaking Opportunity event. I'm Brian Watkins, and I'm the D2D Program Manager, and without question, D2D stands for Detroit to Detroit, and we are an initiative of the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation. And although I think I said this very same thing last year, I'm overwhelmed by what I see in this room. Before we go any further, I'd like for everyone to take a look around. Just take a good look and see the wealth of business talents that exists in this city. And I want you to give the biggest round of applause for the things that are about to happen today. Four years ago, the executive team at the DEGC wanted to find a way to take some of the great local procurement efforts happening with a few businesses in the Midtown area and expand them to include many anchor institutions and all the suppliers with a Detroit presence. The idea was to create awareness about contracts and the supply chains of Detroit's major companies, with an ultimate result of creating jobs. An effort this large would require a lot of time and certainly vast resources. So let's fast forward to 2016, where we now have 18 Detroit anchor institutions on the Buyers Council, 1,000+ businesses registered for D2D, and not one small step on this journey would have been possible without the tremendous support and the resources provided by our funder, the New Economy Initiative. The Executive Director of NEI, Ms. Pam Lewis, is here this morning, and I'd like for her to stand. She's coming in the door. So Pam, you can stand right there. Pam, on behalf of the DEGC and the businesses in this room, we thank both you and NEI for not only the resources to make D2D happen, but for joining us in knowing that contracts for Detroit's businesses equals jobs for Detroiters. Thank you so much. To the 18 members of the Buyers Council, there wouldn't be a D2D program without your participation. Over the past few years, you've helped to place D2D on a solid trajectory that continues to help suppliers understand what it takes to do business with the best and what it means to be buyer ready. Let me just pause right here to tell you that there are many more opportunities here today than those that rest outside these doors with the anchors. From one side of this room, a business owner buys something that's sold on the other side of this room and vice versa. The purchasing power among this collective group is just as impactful as that of the anchors. So what does that mean to you? I'm so glad that you asked. Find a fellow supplier today. Take an opportunity while you're here to find out what he needs. Find out what he buys, and most of all, give him your pitch. Finally, I'd like to recognize our partners and colleagues from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation that have supported D2D from its inception, to Trevor Paul and the entire Pure Michigan Business Connect team that covers the entire state and promotes finding talent and suppliers right here in Michigan. We look forward to working closer with you in the future. So we're happy that you're all here. We're excited about the wealth of contracting opportunities, and we're certainly excited about the catalytic economic activity to come. At this time, it's my distinct pleasure to introduce a veritable beacon light of progress and pace setter for the great work that's happening in this region. He's the leader and 75th mayor of the city of Detroit. Please help me welcome Mayor Michael Duggan.
Thank you. I've been here 2 years now. You don't have to stand up. But thank you very much for that reception. You look around, and isn't this great? People in Detroit pitching in together. So last night, I was at Brooks Patterson's State of the County speech, where he's done such a wonderful job in linking Oakland County businesses together over the years, supporting each other, and they've benefited enormously. And it's a good thing. It's what they should do. But there was a time when it seemed like the efforts were basically take everybody and leave at the city, move them up to Oakland County and get them connected. In the day that you would see this kind of buying power in the city committing to the city was a dream not very long ago. I was the CEO of the Detroit Medical Center about 6 or 8 years ago when Dave Egner and the New Economy Initiative came to me and to Wayne State University and Nancy Schlichting, the CEO of Henry Ford. And they said, we want to get the three of you together and focus your buying power on the city of Detroit. Now, I got to tell you, when you have to say to your procurement director, who's under enormous pressure in every large organization to buy things efficiently at the lowest price, that the CEOs wanted you to get together and figure out how to buy locally, it's like, oh God, this is a nuisance. They don't want to do it. And so the initial reaction was somewhat skeptical. When we got in the room together, it was amazing. I remember being in a conversation where one of the others was using a landscaping company from 20 miles in the suburbs. And in Detroit, at DMC, we had a great landscaping company locally. We said, really? They're good? I said, yeah. They started to use them. And Nancy Schlichting says to me, where are you buying your bread for all of the cafeterias at the 7 DMC hospitals? And I said, I don't know, the National Bread Distributor. She says, we're using Avalon Bakery, and they're giving us great service. You should look at them. And we switched over. And we started to realize we were giving each other leads on good local companies. And the spending started to take off. And we got to the point where we sat down with Henry Ford and we looked at where we were buying our supplies. And we realized we're both buying a lot of supplies from Cardinal Health. And we went to Cardinal and said, we'll keep buying supplies from you, but we want your warehouse in the city of Detroit. And last June, on Rosa Parks, they opened a new 275,000 square foot warehouse in the city. Now, this is spread to 18 large institutions, and a number of them were doing their own things in a very positive way, but now we're unified. And of course, there's a whole lot more entrepreneurs popping up in the city of Detroit. And so I congratulate Brian Watkins and the DEGC team, because this is the thing. The unemployment rate in Detroit right now is the lowest it's been in 8 years. And we've still got 100,000 people out of work. What this city needs more than anything else is jobs. And when you encourage the businesses in this community to expand, you support them, what you're doing is creating economic opportunity for a lot of folks in the city who have hung in here a long time and just want to work. And so the goal of getting $1 billion in local spend, I think is a really important one. I think it's an achievable one. I'm going to have to skip out of here because I am needed in Lansing with the Senate Republicans to try to get them to pass a fix to the Detroit Public Schools. So I'm on my way to Lansing for the other issue. But this was so critical, I just wanted to come by and say we are 100% behind it and ask all of our large partners, I know you're going to do it, take the interview seriously today, and let's see how much Detroit money we can keep in the city of Detroit. Thank you, Brian, for everything you're doing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, I just realized that we're a bit past Fat Tuesday and Ash Wednesday, and I think I completely forgot to give something up for Lent. So, you know, a lot of people say the best place to be for Fat Tuesday and Ash Wednesday is way down south in New Orleans, Louisiana, for the Mardi Gras celebration. And over a year and a half ago, the members of the DEGC board looked to the city of New Orleans to find someone that could take their many talents and immerse them in the Detroit economy. Someone with an international education that could not only work anywhere in the country, but could thrive as an executive in any part of the world. And on behalf of the many people that make up this gathering, we're very happy that he decided to bring those talents to Detroit. Please help me welcome the leader and the visionary of the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation, Mr. Rob Miller. Rob.
I should take Brian Watkins with me everywhere I go. That's, you know. Brian, what you got to say? Thank you for such a gracious introduction. I feel good today. This is a beautiful day. How many small businesses do we have in the room? Small businesses? All right, give yourselves a round of applause. How many major companies, large companies do we have in the room today? Let's give them a round of applause. Remember the Barney song? It says, I think I love you, you love me, we're a happy family. That's what this is all about, right? Because we need the large companies and we need the small companies. It takes all of us working together to make our economy strong. I think about the, what was the movie where it was Cuba Gooding Jr. and he was like, show me the money? That's what this is about. It's about showing us the money. So we want to see even more money spent here in the city of Detroit between Detroit-based businesses. I'm Rod Miller, the president and CEO of the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation, and really want to thank our outstanding staff for all the work they do. Brian Watkins and our small business team. Could DGC, all my DGC team, could all of you guys raise your hands and be recognized? Let's give these folks a round of applause. They work so hard. They work so hard, and they're so committed to the work that we're doing. I do know that we have some elected officials in the room. Could the elected officials in the room please stand up and be recognized? Now, as we think about this, so over the last few years, we've grown the spend because of the work of all the people in this room from $550 million when it initially broke, to now over $925 million, over $925 million in spend. And I'm excited that we believe we can bust $1 billion in spend between Detroit businesses this year. That's a big deal. I'm like, show me the money. Come on. So with that, I'd like to recognize our buyer council members. And I'm going to read these because I think it's significant that these companies have made the decision to purchase local where they can, and it's also exciting because I think these are our advocates that we can even bring more companies into the Buyers Council. These are Bedrock Real Estate Services, and as I mentioned, you feel free to raise your hand or stand up. Bedrock Real Estate Services, Quicken Loans, Henry Ford Health Systems, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, Low Campbell Ewald, Comerica Bank, CompuWare, Skidmore Studios, Detroit Medical Center, Strategic Staffing Solutions, DTE Energy, the University of Detroit Mercy, Ernst & Young, Urban Science, the Detroit Lions in Fort Phil, Wayne State University, Crane Communications, and our host, Greektown Casino. Let's give all of our buyers a round of applause. That's right, we've said it, $1 billion. That's a brave goal, and I believe we can do it with the commitment of those organizations and all the hard work of all of you. The beauty of the small business ecosystem of the city of Detroit is you've got all kinds of businesses represented. So where do we have engineering? Are there engineering, environmental service firms out there? Raise your hands if you fall in that category. All right, so you got your engineering, environmental services. You know, I like to eat, so I know there are some good food service providers in the room. Are there any food service providers in the room? All right, we got food service providers in the room. We got any accounting, legal, marketing, communications type firms that are represented here? All right. Do we have any landscaping firms represented here? And I think there's an aerospace. Is there an aerospace sector represented here? Yeah, that's right. It doesn't really matter what the need is. Detroit-based businesses can provide the service. That's the point that I wanted to make. We've got great companies. I'm really, really excited, whether it's Clarence Carpenter, who's a minority-owned company CEO. He's the CEO of EKS Services Incorporated. They were part of the first D2D capacity building cohort in 2013, and since 2013, their revenues have increased over 5% to nearly $1 million. They've worked with Henry Ford Health Systems, Wayne State, and Comerica. Mr. Carpenter, are you in the room? Right here. All right, let's give Mr. Carpenter a hand. Beverly Hannah Jones of Hannah and Associates. They're a design company. Is Ms. Jones in the room? Yeah, there she is right there. Since joining D2D, they've added 6 new contracts with the value of over $350,000, and they've increased revenues by 20%. They've worked with Blue Cross, Bedrock, and Low Campbell Ewald through their partnership with Newman Smith Architecture. Ms. Starks, Monica Starks, she's the CEO of GS Group LLC. Ms. Starks, could you raise your hand? You'll get the chance to hear her entire story shortly, so I'm not going to steal her thunder, but I'm going to say They began participating with D2D in November of 2013, and they've secured numerous contracts from the city of Detroit, the federal EPA, and they have seen a 20% growth in total revenue. Let's give Ms. Starks a hand. And as I think about, the words that our mayor, our fearless leader, Mayor Mike Duggan, shared, and all the work that the city's doing, the city has a real commitment to working with local companies. Mr. Boise Jackson heads up procurement for the city of Detroit. If you want to find out how to secure those city contracts, please see Mr. Jackson. To all the suppliers, all the small businesses, thank you for all the work that you do. Together, we will find the money, and we will grow our spend to $1 billion this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Rod. All right, Rod, you moved my notes. I'm extremely happy to have our next speaker, who's the newest president of the Michigan Minority Supplier Development Council, which is clearly the gold standard for minority business certification, not only here in Michigan, but in its national formation across the country. For nearly 40 years, the MMSDC has been the benchmark organization for minority business development and relationship building between buyers and suppliers. And I'll go on to say that I'm very happy that the MMSDC is also positioned to assist minority businesses that face challenges in their respective industries. Because Detroit is now learning how to deal with prosperity instead of economic disparity, it's important that minority businesses now, more than ever, compete at a very high level. And we're grateful that the leadership at the MMSDC has developed proven programming to help you do just that. Please help me welcome my friend and colleague, Ms. Michelle Suri Robinson. Michelle.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm not as tall as Rod, so I do have to adjust this mic, but it's not hard to find the money. And I think that's the message that I want to share with you today. Yes, I want to show you the money, but a once infamous bank robber said, when asked, why do you rob banks, what did he say? Because that's where the money is. So we at MMSDC, many of you knew us as MMBDC. The name was changed quite purposely, because for many years we had to simply develop business owners. We had to start with startups and really develop business owners and minority communities that would be able to serve major corporate customers. That has now shifted. We have businesses that range anywhere from $1 million to up into a couple of $1 billion based right here in Michigan that are owned by minority businesses. So we have now focused on supplier development and ensuring these suppliers are able to compete with the absolute best of the best, cream of the crop in any situation. So what does that mean for small businesses? Our organization commissioned a study a couple of years ago really to look at our economic impact in the state of Michigan. We're based right here in Detroit, and we're certainly focused on Detroit, but our real mission is to look throughout the state. We have $26 billion in economic impact throughout the state by the certified MBEs that we certify in our organization. We create 169,000 jobs. Our goal is to certainly go well beyond that, and to do that, what we've done is partner with our friends like Brian and Rod at DEGC. We now have about 30 what we call community partners that are assisting us in developing minority business owners throughout the state in various industries. Another misnomer about our organization is what? We are for automotive. And the reality is we serve this entire state, whether it's furniture manufacturing, healthcare, banking and finance. We are there to identify robust business owners who are able to compete. And that's what we do. And quite frankly, for 39 years, we've done it better than anyone else. Our certification is a gold standard. I invite any of you that are considering selling to those targets, major corporations, when you're looking at government agencies, as well as any of those public institutions, educational institutions and such. If you are looking to sell to them and that is in the target of your organization, our certification is meaningful for you. Every month for free at our offices right here on the riverfront in downtown Detroit, we host a pre-certification briefing. Please go to our website at minoritysupplier.org, very simply, minoritysupplier.org, and you'll see a full calendar there where you can sign up to attend those pre-certification briefings and really determine whether or not certification is right for you or it's something that you need to write into your long-term plans. But even if it's not right for your business today, let's say you're a startup, let's say that you are in a category where you know before you get into working with corporate purchasing organizations, you need to build your base a bit more. What we're doing with those 30 partner organizations, many of you are familiar with, for example, our Michigan Minority Procurement Conference held at the first week of May. We have about 2,500 attendees at that event each year, including major corporations, but also including business owners. What I'm doing today is I want to invite everyone that's here to participate in that, because by working with DEGC, you are eligible now, even if you're not certified, to attend that event on our Professional Development Day. We have a special rate and a fee where we basically put it at cost so that you can attend and be there and take part in that. You can network that day. You can learn a bit more about what's happening in various industries throughout the state. So I'm excited to partner with you today. I will not take any more time. We'll be available. We have a booth here, Fred Feliciano, who heads up all of our external partnerships. Many of you know Frederick, as his mother calls him. Many of you know Frederick. He is a stalwart in this area and has just done a phenomenal job of bringing together the right partnerships so that we can do what we're responsible for doing, and that is create jobs. Because I will tell you, the money is not that hard to find. We have to make sure you're prepared, ready, and willing to compete and do all that it takes to actually ensure that all of those customers receive the absolute top quality and value. So thank you very much for inviting me. We look forward to being with you today.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Have you enjoyed all of our speakers so far? Thank you. I'm really happy to come behind Rod and Michelle. We all are the children of preachers, and so if we get kind of long-winded, you all just play soft music and pass the plate and we'll get done real quick. So listen, having spent much of my time in Southwest Detroit, I know from experience that it had and maybe still has a reputation of being very blue-collar and industrial. Anybody here from Southwest Detroit? Anybody? Great, great. Believe it or not, I can remember being rocked to sleep by the rumble of commercial trucks headed over the I-75 Rouge River Bridge at nighttime. And even when we moved to the Northwest Side, I couldn't sleep because it was way too quiet. So if I told you that a global IT company that has over 1,000 employees and operates in the United States, Mexico, Canada, Brazil, and the Philippines, and is the 14th largest minority-owned business in the state of Michigan, got its start about 7 miles south of where we're sitting, well, I'd expect you to believe it. Our next speaker has been a part of Vision IT since its startup phase in the late 90s, and along with the CEO, David Segura, they've built a company that has experienced monumental growth and staggering revenue generation. And guess what? They're still right here in the city of Detroit. And now they're only 5 miles away from this spot. So won't you help me welcome the president of Vision IT, Ms. Christine Rice.
Well, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. You know, as the speakers talk about so many great things happening here in Detroit, it makes me think about how proud I am to be a Detroiter and to have our headquarters right here. When I think about the opportunity and the growth and all the names of the different companies, more than half of those companies that are here today, we're doing business with them. So their commitment to Detroit, their commitment to diversity, no doubt is here, and there is opportunity. For those of you who may not know about Vision IT, let me tell you a story, because it is quite an inspiring story and very exciting, and certainly something that our entire team around the globe is excited to be a part of. Vision IT, as explained, started here almost 20 years ago. My brother and I, David Segura, born and raised right here in Detroit, and decided to start a technology services company. So remember, back in the mid-90s, everybody needed a website, www.com. And so that's how we started. And as technology continued to evolve, we needed to stay involved in innovation. And so we continued to ride out web development. Now we're involved in a lot of other web technologies, mobile development, a lot of integration, application integration. And I'm excited to share that as that technology continues to evolve, we're staying ahead in talking about innovation. And we partner with some great leaders around the globe, Samsung, CompuWare, Covacent, Cisco, and we've partnered together to bring technology to our innovation center right here in Detroit. And so we've started to build that innovation center that allows companies to come in and look at technology, look at products and services that not only Vision IT will offer, but a lot of our partners as well. So some great things that are happening right here. I wanted to share, how the company has continued to evolve. So we started, as I said, 20 years ago with $100 in the bank, and now we're a global enterprise. Our headquarters is here in Detroit. We have 20 offices around the country, and then you heard some of the global operations. And how it continued to evolve was all about relationships. Some of our first companies were headquartered right here in Detroit, and as they continued to grow and move, they took us, with them. And I think about the opportunity that you have today for the MBEs that are in the room. You think about the companies that are here. If you tried to meet with those companies, it would take years, potentially. But you have an opportunity in a forum today to meet with them in one setting. And so you need to be clear and concise about the products and services that you offer. And I think about, what made us successful. Well, being Hispanic, we talk about, the salsa. So I can't give you my salsa recipe. But I can tell you that it's all about being clear, concise about the products and services and your differentiator. Being in technology and competing with some of the global organizations, why choose Vision IT over some of those other organizations? Well, you have to have that differentiator, and you need to know what that is and clearly communicate that to the potential customers. Also, I think about follow-up. You need to be professionally, diligent and focused on following up. Again, the corporates here are going to get a lot of phone calls and emails, and you may not get a response. But being organized and continuing to follow up is going to be key to the success. And so those are some of my advice today to you. Have fun, smile, and as we talked about, the money is there. There is so much opportunity right here in Detroit. We're committed to Detroit. We were talking earlier today about organizations wanting you to move your headquarters. We're right here in Detroit because we're committed to the growth of Detroit. We're committed to showing and showcasing specifically around technology, showing them that great things are happening right here in Detroit. So congratulations to all of you who have a successful organization. Good luck and identifying new business opportunity. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you, Christine. So now there are some people that you don't need notes to talk about. Anybody watch the Super Bowl this year? Anybody? See your hands. So if you're like me, it was really hyped up, and I thought we were going to have a really good high-scoring game. You had Cam Newton, you had Peyton Manning, and really the game kind of turned out to be a snoozer, right? And the only good thing about it was after those first 30 minutes, you had the halftime show. So I got a chance to enjoy Coldplay, Bruno Mars, and okay, I'll say, all right, Beyonce, all right. And to watch them take the stage, it was a really exciting thing because you knew that they had rehearsed, they had put the time in, and they were ready for the big stage. They weren't rehearsing or practicing once they got there because who knows when the next time would be when you'd hit the stage for the Super Bowl. So again, I'll reiterate, they were ready, and they were big time, and they came through. There's a company that's called GS Group, and one half of that company is a woman by the name of Monica Starks. And I would take a lot of time introducing her, but when you're a former Chicago television show host, you can tell your own story. So I'm going to decrease so that you can increase. So at this time, Monica Starks and GS Group.
Good morning. It's interesting that Brian would have the Super Bowl as his introduction, because as you can tell, I'm a little hoarse. And that's a side effect of rooting for the losing Super Bowl team. Having said that, I'd like to let you know that where you're sitting today is where I sat last year at a D2D matchmaking event. And I'm very proud to say, I know that Rod he didn't want to steal my thunder, but in 2015, we increased our revenue by 20%. For 2016, we're going to double our revenue. We have already doubled our staff. And over the next 4 years, we're going to quadruple our revenue with just the existing contracts that we've received since last year. Thank you. It was amazing to have the mayor here this morning, because I went to the City of Detroit procurement booth last year, and they were a little familiar with us because we've been doing work for the City of Detroit. But we got a major City of Detroit contract last year. And it has taken us to a whole new level. And it was great that the mayor was here, because we're the construction manager for the 0% interest home repair loan program. And my very able business partner, Denise Griffith, stand up, Denise, don't just wave. She is spearheading that entire project, and it was great for us to talk to the mayor about the successes of that program. Now, Rod also asked he asked about different companies. Are there any construction companies here today? Oh, wonderful, because you know what? We need contractors, all right? So we can help you get in tune with that program, because we are looking for contractors. Now, that's one side of it. But the other participation with D2D is how they put you together with other organizations like the Michigan Supplier Diversity Council, as well as the SBA, the Small Business Administration. And I had an opportunity to meet with Tom Vargo. He's the lead business opportunity specialist, and he's here today. And talked to him about some of the things that were going on and some of the things that we were looking at doing. And he said, oh, I forgot that you guys did construction too. And so as a result of that conversation here at the last D2D event, we secured 2 multi-million-dollar EPA contracts. So do not forget about the connections that D2D provides. So with that, I just want to say, it doesn't happen all at once. You grow to where you need to be when that opportunity presents itself. And I think there's a slogan that says, preparation plus opportunity equals success. And I can truly say that D2D provided us with that type of preparation, and now we're in our reaping season. Thank you.
How about it for every speaker that's been on the roster? Wonderful. Yeah, I'm really excited, and Rod and the folks from the DEGC would tell you we've been really excited about this event for the last 2 or 3 months. Rod has already made mention, but folks from the DEGC, I'd be negligent if I didn't tell you thank you so much for all the hard work that went into making this happen. Folks like Aisha Maxwell and Tiffany Smith, folks from the DEGC, even our volunteers from Blackstone Launchpad, you guys are fantastic, and you've helped to make this event very, very special. So just a few housekeeping things before we segue into the next part of this program. Please be sure to check the assignment boards, which are posted at either end of the hall. If you have one-on-one meetings, they'll be listed there. I'd also like to invite you to view the videos here in the ballroom. Many of our our buyers have videos that tell you, hey, Here's how you do business with us. Boise Jackson has a video that says, this is how you do business with the city. Teresa Lefevre from Comerica tells you, here are the things we're looking for in suppliers to Comerica. So in between your meetings, you can come in the ballroom and you can view those videos. One other thing I'd like to challenge the suppliers, I got some homework for you. Do not leave this event until you meet 4 new suppliers that you do not know. This event is much too valuable for you not to make connections within this room. Because again, there are business connections to be made right here between Detroit-based businesses. So make sure you meet at least 4. I'll call it 5, and I'm going to be checking too, to make sure that you meet new people that you haven't met. So again, thank you to all of our speakers, Rod, Monica, Michelle, Christine, to the mayor. Thank you, everyone, and please, please punch up your pitch and get out there and get the money. Thank you so much.